Hello, everyone, and welcome back into another episode of Conversations with Chris and Cameron. It's episode 26, and we've got a lot to cover about. We're going to recap the terrible loss to Tennessee, yet another loss for Kentucky football, preview the Auburn game, and then we're going to also talk about potentially Mark Stoops getting fired, and then our candidates who we would like to see replace Stoops, and then finally talk about some Kentucky basketball with recruitment with Christian Collins, and then also, UK Media Fan Day, which happened today on Wednesday, which was a lot of fun. Sadly, Cameron wasn't there, but how are you doing, though?
Doing great, doing great. Yeah, I wish I could have made it. That looked like a absolutely phenomenal day. So I'm excited to break it down and talk about that. So
Mhm.
it looked awesome. Wish I could have gone, but a lot to get to. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun today. Like I said, we'll talk more about that, but let's get into the Tennessee game, recapping it. I actually went to that game. I got a free ticket to go. How that happened was I went to K's Bar and Grill. I listened to their pregame show, and then I was talking to Ryan afterwards. And Yusuf Mason, who is a big fan of KSR, gave him that free ticket. So Ryan was like, "Do you know anybody?" I'm like, "I don't have a ticket, so might as well." And he gave it to me. I didn't stay for the full game because I had to write for a Sea of Blue, but I stayed for the first half, and I thought UK could have potentially have the upset against Tennessee. Granted, they started out 28 to 7, down 28 to 7, but whenever they got down 28 to 21 before halftime, of course, Tennessee had that score before halftime, making it 35-21. I'm like, it's over. I'm like, even though I believe UK got the ball to start the second half, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. It was. No, I was definitely kind of in the same boat where I was kind of like the end of half. Once again, it feels like it's just a on repeat, but the end of half was definitely the struggle there. But
Mhm.
yeah, it really felt like off rip. It was like four-play drive,
Mhm.
touchdown, and it was just never a
Yeah.
game. I mean, technically at times it felt like we were like back in it, but like I think deep down, even through the first half push to get back fully into it, I think there was a lot of Kentucky fans that were like, "Man, we just know how it's going to end up going," and it
Mhm.
ended up going how I think most Kentucky fans expected.
Yeah, and recently over the past few years, I know while Kentucky is playing against Tennessee at home, it just feels like Tennessee just starts out hot, right, to be in the game, and then after that, like they start to cool down a little bit, not too much. Of course, they're still scoring, but then Kentucky they finally start to score and try to make it a game, and they of course did before halftime. Like I said, 28 to 21 at one point, and then of course Tennessee scored that touchdown, making it 35-21, and then after that it was basically over. UK they only scored two touchdowns in the second half, which is better than what they've been doing the past year and a half under Bush Hampton. So I'm happy about that, but for UK to actually score 34 points and not really even be in the game is pretty sad.
Yeah, it's a new like we're figuring out new ways every week. It feels like to lose games and putting up 34 in essentially a shootout was not what I had on my bucket list. Like I don't even remember what my score prediction was, but I thought we'd probably slow it down a little bit. They'd end up scoring and it'd be them comfortably winning, but not a ton of points. But they end up putting 56 on the board and we put up 34. So it was definitely a different outcome. I'd say it was certainly a more fun way to lose, but we're not really interested in figuring out ways to lose. We want to win games. So, um, yeah, once it was 28-21, it was like, you know what? We've got a shot.
Mhm.
Cutter was obviously balling. He was
Yeah.
playing great. And then, but yeah, from the touchdown right before half, that was kind of it. And it was,
Mhm.
like you said, it was just kind of, they held us off a little bit the rest of the game, and it ended up being similar to that. Like we did score a couple touchdowns in the second half, but ended up not mattering. Like you said, it was 34 points, but still never felt like we were really necessarily in it.
Yeah, basically, once Tennessee scored that touchdown at the end of the half, it was basically sealed the fate for Kentucky that they were going to lose that game. And overall, Cutter Boley had a great game. 26 for 35, 330 passing yards, five touchdowns, and only one interception. And I was happy about that. Of course, Seth McGowan did not play, but I was very happy about Jason Patterson. He stepped up. Basically, of course, Dante Dowdell was running back one, but Jason Patterson, who's only a redshirt freshman, like he's been stepping up very well. He had 16 carries for 51 yards, and then for Receiving, let's see, he also had 7 receptions, so he led the team with receptions and had 44 yards with that as well.
Yeah, Jason Patterson has been phenomenal so far. I think he's like outdone expectations at this point. And I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago where some Kentucky fans are pretty harsh on Dowdell. That I think he's still, obviously he's one of the guys that you pay good money to get, but I
Yeah.
think he's still very respectable and still a solid running back overall. But Jason Patterson, I mean, he's right there with him. He's been incredible, and I mean, it's one of the guys for the future that we look forward to. Like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, Cutter, we got to keep Cutter, but some of
Keep
these other guys, I think if you're a coach, like we'll talk about potential coach hirings or whatever, but like if you're looking from the outside in, like this looks like there's a bright future. Like Jason
Mhm.
Patterson, you mentioned DJ Miller, Willie Rodriguez, like these guys have been good, but
Cam
Jason
Miller too.
Patterson continues to,
Cam Miller too, I believe, right?
Cam Miller, yes, yeah. He's
Yeah.
been really. I mean, he was our best player in the Georgia game. I know it was
Yeah.
never really close, but he was. Even other teams fans were texting me about him. But
Yeah.
the young guys just continue to ball, and Jason Patterson kind of. I know Cutter is phenomenal, but outside of him, Jason Patterson's kind of been the highlight recently.
Yeah, he definitely has been. And I mean, there was a chance that he could have transferred during the spring because, like, UK went out. They got Seth McGowan. Of course, they also got Dante Dowdell. And then everybody assumed that Jamarian Wilcox would be running back three, of course, off the field issues with him. But everybody just assumed that Jason Patterson would be probably running back four and probably not getting a lot of playing time, a lot of snaps, but he's proved that he's very valuable as only a redshirt freshman. And, the more he gets playing time, the more he gets snaps, the better he's going to be.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. The more you use him, the better he's going to get, and
Mhm.
I think you can kind of see it already with this game. You mentioned his numbers; he was great. So yeah, the further he moves along, and the more comfortable he gets playing against teams like this. I know Tennessee doesn't have the best defense in the world, obviously, but it's still an SEC defense. It's still highly ranked guys coming out of high school, and still some guys that'll get drafted. So what he's able to do in this one was very impressive.
Yeah, and like I said, he was also known going from high school to college as just a runner. Like he wasn't known for catching the ball, and I mean he's shown that he can do both, whether it be running or catching the ball and then running up the field, or even also pass blocking as well. Like he's shown that he can do all three if you need him to.
Yeah, definitely versatility has been shown so far with him, and I mean that's even the case with some of the other guys too, some of these young guys. So uh, keeping Jason Patterson, he's kind of in the group with Cutter, where I'm like, I just don't want to lose this man. Like he's going to be one of those dudes that I feel like BBN falls in love with, and I know we've got some older guys that are ahead of him already, so maybe he does see that, and no matter what the coaching situation is, maybe he just sees that he has a legit shot to be like the dude next year. And I mean, you'd have to be silly to look and like not notice that Kentucky's had an elite list of running backs recently. You can add yourself into that list if you come back, end up being a really good player here.
Yeah, and let's talk about also the receiving room real quick. There were two wide receivers for UK that had over 100 receiving yards, and the wild stat is DJ Miller led the stats with 5 receptions for 120 yards. He averaged 24 yards, every time he received the ball, along with 2 touchdowns. But this Kendrick Law stat is crazy. He only had 2 receptions for 103 yards, averaging 51.5 yards per catch. Insane. He also had 1 touchdown.
Yeah, Kendrick Law. That I mean, that's just silly numbers, but that first touchdown was electric. Like it
Yeah,
was just. I mean, we were already down, and it was kind of like,
I
dang
think it
man.
was
And then
21
that
nothing at that point, or something
Yeah, it
like
was
that.
14-0, 21. It was something bad already. We were just kind of like, dang, man. And then out of nowhere, just the fastest man in the stadium. It was just flying up the sideline. So that was really fun. You mentioned DJ Miller. He was really good. He
Mhm.
just has been doing great things recently. So those two, Kendrick Law, I know we just continue to find ways to just get him the ball, but getting a screen pass and breaking it upfield like that, that's kind of the one that I feel like is the coach's perspective of what screenplays do, where I feel like fans and I mean, for good reason, at times where it's like, oh my gosh, another screen. Like it goes for 2 yards this time. Like it never works.
Mhm.
That's what the coaches are envisioning when they put these screenplays in. So having a dude like Kendrick Law, like I know it's in a down year and it's not not a great year overall, but
Mhm.
having a guy like him is
Yeah.
awesome to have.
Yeah, and then we'll move a little bit more into the team stats now. Like Tennessee, they have more total yards than UK, 504 yards to 476. But if you told me UK had 476 yards, I would have been like, we either won, like, of course, Tennessee's offense is electric. I'm like, we either won by a little bit or won by, 10, 13 points maybe. But of course, again, that wasn't the case. And it's just sad to see 476 total yards and ending up with a loss.
Yeah, and I mean similar to the Texas game, it's like back-to-back losses with this many yards. It's like
Hmm.
unbelievable. I know that the Texas one is a much different scenario, but yeah, 476 and passing for 330. You mentioned Cutter. Like
Yeah.
if you tell me those are the stats, I'm just like, how do you lose a game like this? But then you look over on the other side and it's Joey Aguilar, 20 for 26, three touchdowns,
Mhm.
396. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just everything we did, they did a
Mhm.
little bit better. And that was kind of the story of the game. So the yards,
Mhm.
they only had 504 compared to our 476. But when you're talking in the grand scheme of things, 504, you're going to put up points like that. And Kentucky struggled to put up as many points. And that was kind of the story of the game. But it was just points and ball movement on both sides.
Yeah, and I mean the first downs were the same. Tennessee had 25, UK had 25. The third down efficiencies, they were about the same too. 448 for Tennessee, 5 for 11. So at least UK was converting more on third downs, it feels like, than earlier in the year. It just felt like every third down attempt or every fourth down attempt, we were failing every time.
Yeah, definitely. And that's always just so like disappointing too. Is just like right when you have like your hopes up, and then there's just like a third and 10 or whatever. Like
Hmm.
it's just it's always sad to see. But yeah, I mean overall we hung in there. Like if you look at the stats, it's just like this had to be a nail biter. It had to be a close
Yeah.
old school Big 12 game. Like it was probably just in the 50s. And no, we're sitting there with 34. And I mean the way that they scored compared to ours is just theirs. It felt like it was just backyard football. Everybody just run down the field and we'll just hit you. Ours, we had to actually work for it,
Mhm.
but the offense did look good. So, I
Yeah,
mean, credit to Bush. Like the offense was clicking, but
for the
little
most
late in the
part.
process. Yeah, little late in the process for it to be clicking now. And it's
Mhm.
against the Tennessee defense that, like, if you talk to their fans, they're like, this is a middle school defense.
Yeah.
So they didn't even give us too much credit for it.
Yeah, I think also what also stands out to me, yes, we had two fumbles lost, and that one fumble we had was just awful. Like Cutter Boley threw the ball, I think it was to Harley Gilmore, and then he lost the ball. It ended up in Jamori Macklin's hands. He lost it again, and then the ball goes back like 20 yards. Macklin picks up the ball again for the second time and fumbles it, and then goes back like another 10 yards, and then Tennessee has the ball inside of UK spot.
Yeah, that play is like all time. Like it literally felt like you had to throw some cartoon music on there. Like it was just like unbelievable. I've probably watched that play like 5 times, and it shouldn't be like even watchable as a Kentucky fan, but it just continued to like slip out over and over. And then
Mhm.
like when you watch it, because I mean I've showed people it that like didn't watch the game or didn't see that play or whatever, and they're just like their reactions are hilarious when you show somebody for the first time. That play is unbelievable. It reminds me of the it's been resurfaced a lot. The Louisiana Tech, and I think it was like Mississippi State, where
Yeah.
it just keeps going back, and it's
Yeah.
like, how in the world did this just happen? And then obviously they get on it, and you can't ask for much more of a blessing than getting the ball inside your own five.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Like, I just don't understand. How did Macklin fumble the ball twice? That's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, once I fumble it once, the second time I'm probably just grabbing it and getting down because I already lost it
Mhm.
once. But yeah, that's unbelievable. You gotta hate that for that guy, but like,
Mhm.
gosh, that
Yeah.
play will forever live on.
Yeah, live on for infamy for sure. And like I said, maybe if Macklin recovers the ball the first time, we get that first down and then the drive continues. But of course, like I said, Gilmore, he caught it, fumbled it. Macklin got the ball, fumbled it again. And then, of course, Macklin recovered the ball 20 yards again. And like I said, just like we had the chance to at least recover the ball and punt instead of having Tennessee have the ball inside UK's 5.
Yeah, a punt is much better in that situation than what we ended up with, obviously. I think what we ended up with was by far the worst outcome
Yeah.
once we're in that fumble drill. Like obviously they
Mhm.
could have scored or something, but like
Mhm.
that was just that play's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'll admit I was pretty impressed by UK's O-line. They only gave up one sack for Cutter Boley, so that's pretty impressive. Like we're giving him definitely more time. And I think also Boley is just stepping up. Like he's becoming a better player. Like he knows when to roll out the pocket or he knows when to run or whatever he needs to do because like I said, he looked a little uncomfortable in that Georgia game and then come the second quarter, like of course, before halftime, like he looked really great towards the end of the first half against Georgia, and he's slowly just has improved since that game.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely one of those guys where you can just see each game his improvement, and it just keeps going. And like even, I mean, the Texas game is a great defense. This one, not a great defense, but still a respectable defense nonetheless. And he balled out. And like you said, he's more comfortable. He's got a better pocket presence. He's hitting throws that I feel like at times he was missing. So he continues to step up every single week and bring it. And that's why you just can't lose this kid, no matter what happens at the end of the season. I know there's going to be tons of teams calling because you see this
Yeah.
kid out here balling, and people are going to be calling for him.
Yep, they definitely will be calling for him. And like I said, just interested to see what happens. Of course, he also threw an interception. And we can also talk a little bit about the time of possession. Kentucky again had 36 minutes compared to Tennessee's 24 minutes, basically. And UK ruled the possession, but of course, with Tennessee. They've got an they've got a high octane offense and they're just really good with that and they don't need the ball for a long time at all. Honestly, Tennessee's offense reminds me of the Bengals offense whenever they have everybody healthy, like Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase or Joe Flacco to Jamar Chase. Like whenever their offense is rolling, it looks great.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly an offense that looks great when they're rolling. And like I said earlier, it feels like they just continued to just go over the top. It was, I mean, they had like, I want to say they had like three receivers with over 100. Is that crazy? No, they had three receivers with over 100 yards. Like, it felt like they just continued over and over to just like chuck it. It was
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, their offense is clicking. They continue to just roll and roll and roll. And I mean, the whole time Heupel's been there, it's given Brad White fits. I know we played them like decently close last year, but then there's the 44-6 in there. Like
Yeah.
the Heupel era has not been great for Brad White. That's been the one outlier where we can hang with like every single team, but that's the offense that we can just never really kick it with.
Yeah, and I hear you. I think the one positive you have to look at it though is UK had that 96-yard drive before the first half ended. Of course, Tennessee scored before then, but to just go 96 yards, and I think that was the longest drive we've had since I believe it was UK versus Georgia in 22, I believe. Yeah, I believe it was 2022 with Will Levis when they went 99 yards down the field, and that was an insane drive too.
Yeah. Yeah, that drive, like when I was watching, I was like, dude, this is like I think it was yeah, probably halfway through the drive, I was like, wait a minute, this is the drive that started inside the tent. Like this is crazy. So yeah,
Yeah.
whenever that happened, I didn't even realize when the last time was that it happened. But I was like, this couldn't have happened in a while because it felt like it was just a death wish. Like a punter would pin us inside the 15, and it was just like, all
Mhm.
right, well, we're not scoring. Like it's what it felt like recently. So that
Mhm.
drive was definitely a big highlight and
Yeah.
something that you can kind of carry with you going forward.
Yeah, and like I said, I believe that's the longest drive since 2022 when UK faced off against Georgia at home. Will Levis drove, 96 yards down the field. Of course, he had the help with Barryon Brown, Dane Key, and everybody else. But like I said, 99 yards against Georgia was insane a few years ago.
Yeah, that one was wild. I was at that game, and that the big play to bury on starting that drive off was a blast. But
Yeah.
obviously, we don't have those weapons. We have different weapons now, so
Yeah.
we're getting to see it kind of with a completely different squad. But yeah, that drive was a blast.
Yeah, and we'll just talk a little bit about UK's defense, then we'll get into the Auburn game. Then we'll, of course, talk about our, candidates who we would like to see Mark Stoops be replaced with if he does get fired this year, which all signs are pointing towards that.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like
Yeah,
it's getting that way, and
yeah,
I mean, I feel it feels like this game that we'll talk about here in a little bit is a big part of it.
yeah. But I mean, UK's defense, it was pretty bad. Like basically UK's offense gave Tennessee 14 points. So like Cutter Boley had that pick six, and then of course that fumble we talked about that ended up in UK's five. So other than that, Tennessee scored basically 42 points. Like, that's still bad for the UK's defense. Like, you should never be giving up 42 points.
Yeah, that's never going to win you many games at all. Like even like the Ole Miss games where they obviously have a great fiery offense that goes out and I mean they just hung like 34 on Oklahoma. It was a good defense. They hung like 30 something against Georgia and we held them to
30.
whatever they scored, a 20, or yeah, they scored 30. So like
Yeah.
we've been able to slow down really, really, really good offenses
Mhm.
many times, but it's always Tennessee's offense that we just seem to struggle with. And they do some different things. So it's not like it's for no reason out of nowhere, but like they spread it out. They just pick us apart, man. They just I don't know what it is about Brad White's defense. I mean, I know football pretty well, but I would need somebody else to explain why this is the game that we just can never stop them. It's literally
Yeah.
the defense just gets cooked every single year.
Well, usually, like, they start out hot and then we're able to finally cool down Tennessee's offense just a little bit, not a lot, though.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, they started out hot, 21 points in the first quarter. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of it again, but it was kind of over at that point, sadly.
Yeah, and I still think Chris Brazzell, the second for Tennessee, I think he gets away with offensive pass interference a lot during games. Like, I remember watching the Georgia game, and I thought he got away with an offensive pass interference. And I thought the one big play, I don't know if Tennessee already had scored at the time. I don't think they did. I think this was on their first drive, but Brazzell, I thought he got away with offensive pass interference. Like, he pushed the UK defender off of him. And I'm like, where's the flag on that?
Yeah, yeah. The offensive PIs feel like it's just less and less like every year.
Mhm.
And Brazel is one of those dudes that I kind of agree. It's just like, I mean, he is a good receiver, obviously, but it does feel like at times he's getting away with a little extracurricular on these plays.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that. Like, if the officials aren't going to call it, then they won't call it. But like I said, I just feel like Bradfield gets away with it a little bit too much.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. And then I mean Staley and Matthews, I feel like they're both just elite receivers too. And
Yeah,
but Brazel was the one that I was kind of I would agree. There was times in that game where I was like, all right, man, that's
yeah,
that's a little extra. You can't be doing that. But
yeah. A little push off, but yeah, like you were mentioning earlier, Staley and Matthews. Matthews had six receptions for 107 yards. Staley had six receptions for 105 yards, and Bradfield was the leading leading wide receiver with yards with four receptions, 138 yards, and one touchdown too.
yeah, that trio that they've got, and then
Uh,
I mean their tight end is usually pretty solid too. We slowed him down, but their receivers absolutely wore us out. So
yeah,
that trio did a lot of whatever they wanted to do, and I mean some of it was physicality wise, but it felt like they just got shot after shot.
yeah, and then of course Deshaun Bishop, their starting running back, he had 14 carries for 48 yards and two touchdowns, and like they just were able to beat us on both sides of the ball with running, of course, and then passing, just like UK had no chance against Tennessee.
Yeah, their offense genuinely did whatever they wanted. It felt like they continued time after time. Anytime they needed it, it was just like Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas, the receivers, like they would just make plays anytime they felt like it. It felt like everything just worked for them the whole game.
Yeah, I agree. But do you have anything else you want to add about the Tennessee game before transitioning to Auburn?
No, I don't think so. But, I mean, obviously it sucks losing the balls, but
Yeah,
we're down a little bit. We'll get them
yeah,
on our way back up.
yeah. We'll definitely be back and hopefully with a new head coach maybe next year.
Yeah, hopefully so.
But we're going into the Auburn game. Of course, they haven't had the best of luck right now. UK and Auburn really haven't had the best luck. Of course, Auburn's a little bit better than UK, but uh, UK is 0-3 in the month of October, currently 2-5, 0-5 in the SEC, and just two losses away from being from not being able to go to a bowl game for a second year in a row. But for Auburn, they are 4-4 and 1-4 in the SEC, and this is our only fourth meeting in 30 years. Can you believe that?
That is kind of crazy. It did feel like we didn't play them for a long time, and then we played them down
2020,
there during COVID. Yeah,
yeah,
down there. And then yeah, we played them last year too. So
and this year.
uh yeah, we played them with what Cobb too. Yeah, when Cam Newton was there, we played them. So
Yeah.
yeah, we haven't played them a whole lot, but it is kind of shocking that's it's been that little.
Yeah, it definitely has been shocking. I was at that Auburn game last year. It was me, my girlfriend, and my parents and everything. And we had a good time. We were up 10-0. We were like, we're going to win this game. Like, like let's go. Finally getting another win, finally getting an SEC win again because of course we beat Ole Miss before that. But we were so happy. But of course after that it slowly unraveled for UK.
Yeah, slowly is definitely the word too, because they just did whatever they wanted to in the running game. They just continued to just run all over us. So hopefully that's not what it'll be like this year, because that was kind of a slow burn where it was just like
Yeah.
they ran over and over and over. And yeah, that one, like you said, it started out pretty good, but ended up being pretty
Yeah.
bad.
But let's get into it. Let's start talking about the quarterback. Of course, Jackson Arnold has been the starting quarterback for majority of the year, but he got benched this previous game that Auburn played against, and they moved in Stanford transfer Ashton Daniels, and that came in as a surprise too.
Yeah, they struggled to pick who their like starter was going to be. They didn't pick Arnold until like close to the season, so it looked like Ashton Daniels had a legit shot, and it was kind of weird when they took both of them in the portal because they were both coming from starting jobs. But yeah, when Ashton Daniels checked in, they actually moved the ball pretty well. It was like the first time their offense looked competent, and that was kind of. I know that I've heard some Kentucky fans talk about, well, they felt like we actually had a shot in this game when it was Arnold because he had some of his own problems. But
Mhm.
now that they're with Ashton Daniels, their offense looked much better. And but now that you know, like Brad White's got some time to settle in, kind of see what Ashton Daniels can do, maybe we can slow it down. But it definitely doesn't look like it's a great sign for Kentucky that they're switching to Daniels right now.
Hey, well, as long as a backup doesn't play, like as long as they don't switch quarterbacks during the middle of the game, UK's defense, Brad White will be okay. Because every time they bring the backup quarterback during the game, that's when UK football struggles on the defensive side.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe that could happen where now that Arnold's a backup, maybe Ashton Daniels ends up just being terrible, and then Jackson Arnold comes back in and does something. I don't know. It could
Yeah,
be a situation like that.
yeah, of course. And Auburn got their first SEC win this past week against Arkansas. They actually won 33-24, and I thought it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting Auburn to defeat Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas, they don't have a head coach currently. They got rid of Sam Pittman at this time, so currently they have an interim head coach too.
Yeah, I think I don't know what the line was going into it, but I would imagine I don't know, maybe Auburn was a slight favorite or something, but Arkansas kind of, I mean, they controlled this game for the most part. And then, like I said, Ashton Daniels checks in, and the offense actually moves the ball. So that Auburn ended up putting up 17 in the fourth to end up winning this game, where Arkansas kind of had a lead throughout the entire game. But yeah, first SEC win. Obviously, any SEC win's a tough one to
Yeah.
get. So obviously, Arkansas is not the best in the world, but they're coming off a win. They're probably feeling themselves a little bit.
Yeah, it was sort of like UK versus Tennessee. Of course, UK didn't get the win, but Auburn did. But yeah, like you were saying, Arkansas started off hot. They were up 21-10, and then Auburn slowly came back. They were down 24-16 at one point, then went up 27-24 and ended the game up, winning 33-24.
Yeah, it was definitely a second half performance. They won the second half 23-3. So they came back in Fayetteville. So it was an impressive one. But yeah, it was just a wild game. I did watch this one, and I just could not believe how bad Jackson Arnold looked when he was in. So
Yeah.
then it made a whole lot of sense on why they switched to Ashton Daniels.
Yeah, and for Jackson Arnold, he had 7 for 12, 73 passing yards, along with one touchdown and one interception. But Auburn's offense isn't really known for their passing, but they're more known for their rushing.
Yeah, definitely more of a rushing team. But
Mhm.
that's what's wild about this year is like they had the Georgia Tech transfer Eric Singleton. He was one of the best receivers in the portal. And then Cam Coleman was a 5-star out of high school that had a great freshman year. Both of those guys are some of the top receivers in all of the country, which is saying something about how bad their quarterbacks have been because those two guys would start and be the 1 and 2 on nearly any team in college football, and they're struggling to get them the ball.
Yeah, they are, but we'll talk right now about their rushing right now. and then we'll get more into the passing game. But right now, their offense, they're leaning on running back Jeremiah Cobb. Right now, he's at 717 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and he's one of the best SEC backs currently.
Yeah, definitely one of the best backs, and he's been there for a couple of years now. But hopefully we're able to slow him down because we were certainly not able to do that last year with
Yeah.
anybody that had a thought about running the ball.
Yeah, and you know how many times they ran the ball compared to passing?
How many?
They ran the ball 50 of 70 times against Arkansas.
That's crazy. Yeah, and it's crazy because they have those weapons. Like I don't know how much they paid Singleton and Coleman, but I don't know how those guys even want to play there.
Yeah, like that reminds me of like UK's early offense under Mark Stoops, like from 2017 through like 2020 was just run, run, run. But I don't think UK ever had 50 running plays, let alone probably 50 plays during those 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps that I don't know how many times he ran it in this game, but Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold were both running quarterbacks. So maybe they caught a couple pass plays and they ended up just not seeing something and they ran too, but that's definitely a ton of runs
Yeah,
in those games.
Ashton Daniels had 70 carries for 35 yards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean not too much, but that's a good amount for when he checked in though.
Yes, it's just insane to think about. So UK, they will have to make sure they defend the run, and I feel like our run game has been pretty impressive this year. Like it's more just our passing where we can't defend the pass at all.
Yeah, that definitely showed last week for sure. So hopefully we can slow down. I mean, we've stopped some great running backs from having good games against us too. Like Keon Lacey at Ole Miss, he didn't have a incredible game against us. Hopefully we can slow down this Auburn running game as well.
Yeah, and just talking about Auburn's offensive issues, right now their passing success rate is 37.3%. They're ranked number 119th in the country, which is terrible. Yards per drop back is 5.34. They're number 126 in the country, and then their sack rate is 12.3%, number 135, and it's only worse compared to Ball State.
Yeah. Yeah, that those are, jarring numbers. Like it's wild because this team was literally ranked for a few weeks, I'm pretty sure. Like
Yeah.
they had the Baylor win early that was
Mhm.
pretty solid, but now at this point, it's just like how in the world was this team a top 25 team when it comes to the passing game? Obviously, they've ran it all right, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's wild. Their offense has not been good. Surely, I mean, Arkansas's defense is one of the worst that
Mhm.
I've seen in years, and
Yeah.
they only put up 33. So surely we can slow this team down. And I mean, it'll probably be if you're not a Kentucky or Auburn fan, it'll probably be just an ugly game that you won't want to watch at all. Just
Mhm.
being honest, but I think we'll be right in there because it's just going to be so low scoring the whole time.
Yeah, hopefully you're right, but we'll talk about a little bit about the offense. Like you were saying, Eric Singleton, he had 2 receptions for 56 yards. So basically what UK was doing against Tennessee. And then Cam Coleman had 2 receptions for 27 yards and 1 touchdown. So basically Auburn, they're probably going to run the ball a lot. Of course, uh, like you were saying, Ashton Daniels, he's a dual threat quarterback. So if he doesn't have anybody wide open down the field, he might tuck in and run.
Yeah, definitely got to keep a spy on him. But I know Cam Coleman got hurt in that game, and I haven't really checked fully on his status right now. But Cam Coleman is one of the best receivers in the country. Like I've watched a lot of football across the land, and that man is unbelievable. So I'm excited to see what our DBs can do against him, just because he's going to be a tough matchup. I think
Yeah.
he's probably I'm trying to think like quickly. I'd say he's probably the best receiver that we play this year. And yeah, he's been awesome. Eric Singleton's been good for him, and like you mentioned, the 2 for 56. Like he's kind of a downfield threat that they've been able to use. So, but they'll probably be running it the majority of the time. But you mentioned Ashton Daniels' legs. Got to slow the legs down to be able to win this one.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the availability report after we get done reviewing the Auburn game. But Cam Coleman is listed questionable against UK, so questionable means that they have a 50% chance of them playing against UK.
Yeah, obviously without him, their passing game gets much worse. But yeah, I guess we'll see how he ends up being and if he ends up playing.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. Let's talk about though Auburn's elite run defense though. Their EPA per rush it's negative 0.27. They're ranked number one nationally. Success rate versus run 27%, number two, and then non-sack yards per rush 3.08, number one. Only South Alabama and Texas A&M they have only rushed for 100 plus yards against them, so insane to think about. So UK, they might have to be relying on the passing game instead of the running game against Auburn.
Yeah, which I don't hate because it's been fun to see Cutter go out there and sling it. So I am excited just to kind of see that. But it's weird because like Hugh Freeze back in the day when he was at Ole Miss and all that, like he was fun. Like they had fun offense, they put up points and all that. But now it's the defense. Like you mentioned, their run defense is one of the best in the country. So uh yeah, it'll be interesting. We're gonna have to definitely throw it more than run it. But I don't hate that. And I think the fan base will probably side with that, where it'll at least be fun as we go into this one.
Yeah, and for Auburn, they rank number 111th nationally in passing success rate, allowed 45.7%. So, Cutter Boley, you better be throwing that ball. You better be at least, I'm expecting him to at least get 200, 250 plus passing yards against Auburn.
Yeah, I would expect that too. I think 250 is probably a pretty good mark. I would say
Yeah.
like because we're gonna need to throw it, and it's against the defense that hasn't really stopped the passing all year. So I'm excited to see what Cutter can do down there.
Yeah, and I think if UK, I believe UK can win this game if they can get probably 350 total yards of offense. I feel like 350 would be a good bar for them to win.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. I'd say that's probably a pretty good mark, but who knows? I mean, we've put up unbelievable numbers and lost the last couple, but this team is a lot different than the last two teams we played. So I would agree with that
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, and right now the main concern is UK's secondary. If the wide receivers do play, like you were saying, if Cam Coleman does play, like it'll be interesting to see if UK's secondary can just hold on to Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, and eliminate them from Auburn's offense.
Yeah, definitely need to slow them down, and the secondary is going to have their hands full. They did last week with great receivers, but this week they have two of the best in the country. I know their numbers probably don't say it, but when you watch these guys, they jump off the TV at you. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to focus in on these guys and slow them down for sure.
Yeah. But unless you have anything else to add, we can get into score predictions and the over-under for the game.
No, I think I'm good. Unless something pops in my head, then I'll mention it. But I think I'm good right now.
Well, I am going to say the unbelievable. I believe that UK will upset Auburn. Right now, Auburn is 4-9 against the spread as a home favorite under Hugh Freeze, and they failed to cover big numbers. But I do believe that UK will actually win this game, upset Auburn, and actually get their first SEC win of the year. I know people are going to call me crazy and everything, but I just have a good feeling that UK's offense will be clicking. The defense will also be doing its part to win this game. And I'll go, let's see, the over-under for the game is 44 and a half. I'll go over that and I'll go I'll go 33 24 UK.
Okay. Okay. Wait, it wasn't. Wait, is that was the exact Auburn Arkansas score?
Oh, it was?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mentioned earlier that with their run defense crazy and they run the ball and all that, I think it'll be low scoring, and I think we'll kind of just hang in there. I do think the Cats win. I think this is a game that it feels like the like loser leaves town or whatever. Like it feels like we're gonna wake up if Kentucky wins this game. We'll wake up Sunday and Hugh Freeze will have lost his job. I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be the case. I think the Cats win 20-13 in a kind of slow game, but we end up putting up a few touchdowns or maybe two touchdowns and a couple field goals. But I think it's gonna be 20-13. Cats leave the plains with a W.
Yes, and like I said, if UK does that, that might save Mark Stoops' job for at least another week. But like you were saying, potentially if, you know, whichever team loses, the very next day or that week, they could lose the job. Like Mark Stoops could lose his job if he loses to Auburn after this game.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it is like a 10.5 point spread right now, I think, which I'm kind of shocked by. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a lot of points for an Auburn team that hasn't proved anything so
Mhm.
far. So it's an interesting time. They're not great, and we'll see if we can go down there and get the win like both of us are kind of expecting.
Yeah, like I said, I think UK will do the unthinkable and actually upset Auburn, and that would be great.
Yeah, that would definitely be great. I'm interested to see like we'll head into the talking about the coaches or whatever soon, but I'm interested to see like what this win would mean. Like if we do win this, what it's going to look like going forward. Like if this win actually does mean a whole lot, or what the scenario would be.
Yeah, and I mean, it could mean a lot because then it gives you momentum, it gets you motivated for the Florida game, like it could end up like changing the whole season. Maybe not really, but it could potentially.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, snagging a win right here before you play some really tough games towards the end of the year gives you an opportunity to go make a bowl. So hopefully not miss out on a bowl game for 2 straight years.
Yeah, but of course, I don't think there's anything that Mark Stoops can potentially do to save his job unless he just wins out, like surprisingly, like upsets Vanderbilt too.
Yeah, I mean it'd have to be something crazy. I think like maybe yeah, if you go like 7-5, I think they're probably letting him keep his job. But we both know that's probably pretty unlikely.
Mhm.
Sad to say, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the situation we're in.
Yeah, and before we get into our available coaches who we would like to see Mark Stoops be replaced, I want to go over the availability report real quick. Troy Stellato, he'll miss his second straight game, so I wonder what his injury is because like what happened to him because of course he wasn't really getting playing time to begin the year, but he's out for his second straight game. Our outside linebacker Jacob Smith is also out against Auburn. DJ Waller Jr., who's been out basically the whole year, he got injured against Toledo and he's never came back, but he's listed as doubtful, so I doubt he'll play. Our other defensive back, who's also been playing a lot, Teron Nichols, is doubtful as well, so more than likely he'll not play. Questionable, you've got Jamori Macklin and Landon Watson, and then probable Seth McGowan. So Seth McGowan will probably play against Auburn more than likely.
But was he on the New Mexico State team that beat them like 2 years ago? Was he?
Maybe. I know he was on New Mexico State. I don't know if he was on that team to upset Auburn.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up real quick because I know like Shiosh Pete was on that one obviously.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, Seth McGowan. I don't see that he didn't play in that game at least, but it is yeah. They obviously New Mexico State went down there and just dominated them. So Shiosh Pete, maybe he'll
Yeah.
bring that fire back out.
Yeah, bring that fire for sure. And then we'll go look at Auburn's availability report, then go into our coaches that we would like to see Mark Stoops be replaced. But Horatio Fields, the wide receiver for them, he's out. Connor Liu, their offensive line, he's out. And then questionable, you've got Malcolm Simmons and Cam Cohen, both wide receivers. Connor Gibbs, their kicker, and then Jordan Crawford, their defensive line. They're all listed as questionable.
Yeah, so they're a little banged up as well. But yeah, I mean Cam Coleman's the big one. Like if he ends up playing, you don't have as good a chance, I would say, because he's that type of player. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, hopefully the Cats go down there and get a big time win, even with a few guys out for us.
yeah, I would love that. But let's get into now if Mark Stoops does get fired during the season or afterwards, who we would like to see replace him.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So right now, I know I made a tweet earlier this month about who I would like to see Mark Stoops get replaced with. And right now, my number one pick is Will Stein. Like, of course, everybody is either wanting Will Stein or John Summerall, but my number one pick right now would just be Will Stein. Of course, he's got that Kentucky connection, but Oregon's offense has been so lethal over the years, and I just feel like I want to change the scenery. Like John Summerall, he's a defensive minded guy. Like I want to see us actually put up points. So that's why I would put Will Stein as my number one and then probably John Summerall as my number two.
Yeah, I would lean. I personally would go Summerall one. I know he's defensive, but just you get the guy that has been a head coach. Like that's the kind of the one thing that I'm like, all right, this dude knows how to run a program, and
Mhm.
it says something. I mean, Florida's talked to him, LSU's considering him, Auburn is dying for him. If we're the one that comes out on top getting John Summerall, I think that'd be amazing. But the interesting thing is like Will Stein is such a hot name as all these jobs come open. I think he probably will take a job this year. He's definitely interested. I would not be opposed at all. It's
Yeah.
obviously weird because he was a Louisville guy, and I personally remember watching him for Louisville. So it's a wild
Uh,
world we're in now. But like you said, Oregon's offense has been exceptional, and every offense that he's coached has been amazing. So
mhm.
he'll continue to innovate, blow your mind with play calling. But yeah, personally, I think, and honestly, Will Stein could, if you look around the country at all the best jobs or best head coaches, nearly all of them were like coordinators. Like it was Dan Lanning, Georgia DC, Kirby Smart was
Yeah.
Alabama's DC. Like the guys that are there weren't just the Tulane head coach. They weren't just a lower level head coach. I know Signetti kind of puts that to rest with being James Madison's head coach, but
Yeah.
I do think I would rather have Summerall because of the
Mhm.
even deeper connections to the school. He played and coached here.
Yeah.
I just think he would get the fan base fired up. Like it's the dude that we've wanted for so long. I remember
Mhm.
when the A&M stuff came out with Stoops a couple years ago. Like he was the guy. It was like, all right,
Yeah.
well, on Summerall. Like, and that was before the big hype train
Mhm.
came around Summerall. So I think he would be my number one, mainly because of the
Connect.
already head coaching experience, and then you get to win over all of these other jobs.
Mhm.
But then Will Stein too, and then I don't know who I would want at three. I know there's a lot of names that have floated around, but who would you say for three for you?
Yeah. I want to just talk a little bit more about Summerall before going into my number three, but he did also recently just get onto a podcast and he said, let's make decisions at the freaking end of the year. So basically, Summerall, he's all focused on Tulane right now, coaching them, and he doesn't want to make any decisions until afterwards. And like if they get into the college football playoffs, like it changes everything for Tulane and Summerall because then you can't get Summerall until like late January, if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I would imagine that they're literally right in the mix for the American right now. It's like them, South Florida, Memphis, but
Mhm.
they're at the top. Navy's in that mix. Like there's some really good teams. I think the AAC champ will be the one that probably makes the playoff, but I'm not sure if they beat the five because of the
Yeah.
whole seeding and stuff this year. So I would say his job, he can probably start to figure these things out in like late December, maybe mid-December.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, he's definitely got a team that's right there in the mix for the group of five to be the team that ends up making it to the college football playoff. So I don't blame him at all with that. But yeah, he's got a squad with him right now.
Yeah, he definitely has a squad. And just to talk a little bit more about Summerall, and then I'll get into my other selections of, coaches I would like to see Mark Stoops be replaced by. But for me also, like Summerall, he was on that 2021 team when UK went 10-3, upset Iowa. Like he was like the co-defensive coordinator to Brad White. So basically he was like the person below Brad White on the defensive coordinator side. And like I said, just every time I see that video, like he's like, "Do you need some juice? Come to me." Like that video gets me hyped every time seeing that. And I'm like, no wonder why so many players love him wherever he goes.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a player's favorite type of guy. And I think when he gets a job, you'll see whether it's Kentucky or not, you'll see a lot of those UK defenders that played for him, like all the defensive guys, like I mean the linebackers, and even outside of them, you'll see them have a lot of high praise for him just because of how much they loved him. So,
Mhm.
and I do think that like with fans, I would say like just because he's the defensive coordinator and defensive guy, and like he's got defensive background, don't let that stop you because I think
Mhm.
he's an innovative guy that like is always going to try to like put up a ton of points. Like he's gonna
Yeah.
go get an OC that can handle that type of thing, and he's never gonna like want to play Iowa football. Like he's not gonna want to win like 14-7. Like he wants to put up points, and he'll hire the right guys for that. And whether it has or not, I think Stoops is still kind of controlled a little bit of what happens
Mhm.
on the offensive side of things at times. And I don't think Summerall would be that type of guy personally, but I completely understand the people that are big on the Will Stein thing because it'd be fun.
Yeah,
Like whether you're
that's
winning
good
or
thought.
losing, it'd be a blast.
Yeah, and I think now we can get into more of our other list. I would say probably my number three option would be probably the USF head coach Alex Golesh. Like he's got the team rolling this year for USF. They're 6-2. He's only a third year head coach, but he's been coaching for I think 22 or 23 years. But he's only been a head coach for 3 years. Third year at USF. First 2 years they went 7-6, and now this year they're already 6-2. And like I said, I feel like Alex Golesh would be my third option.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I honestly, I think he'll be getting a different job. I don't know if it's going to be Florida
Mhm.
or I feel like he'll probably get a job pretty quick. And I don't know how high we'd be on the list for him because I think there's going to be bigger jobs going after him. But that would definitely be a good one. I mean, he was the Tennessee OC for their incredible year. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, that would be a good one. I think my third, which this one is different because I think a lot of BBN wants Brian Hartline. He
Yeah.
has the unbelievable receiver room every single year. And
Mhm.
he's coached all these guys, and now he's the Ohio State OC. I would certainly not be opposed to that, but I think I would lean Bob Chesney, the James Madison coach,
Yeah.
not just because of Signetti, but he's young.
Mhm.
He has
And very.
coached a lot. I mean, he's also a defensive guy, but he's not their team can put up points. He's 16-5 as a head coach at James Madison. He's been there for 2 years, but
Mhm.
I just think he's the up next guy. Like
Yeah.
he's got a team that also they're another team that could make the college football playoff. Like James Madison's right there, and they continue to roll. So
Mhm.
I think that would probably be my guy that I would go with. He goes 9-4 in year one, 7-1 right now. So I think I would lean with Bob Chesney.
Yeah. Nice. And I think to round out my top five, I would go with probably number four, Brian Hartline, of course, the Ohio State offensive coordinator, like you were mentioning, and then number five, Bob Chesney at James Madison.
Yeah, yeah, I would say yeah, Heartline's probably four for me, and then five, I'd say it's probably just somebody that like we have no idea who it is. Like it maybe
Yeah.
some coordinator at some random school right now that we don't really know, but I do trust the athletic department to make the right decision on who we
Mhm.
should go get. But it does feel like anybody outside of Summerall and Stein, it feels like a settling type of thing. But
Mhm.
I have no doubt in my mind that whoever we get will be able to have an opportunity to succeed here.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And like I said, I mean, if you told me to throw some names off the wall, I know Justin Rowland previously mentioned that maybe UK goes after the Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck. I was surprised whenever that name came around, but some other names off the wall I was thinking about Marcus Arroyo, he's the Arizona State OC. Buster Faulkner, the Georgia Tech OC, Cliff Kingsbury. Like, I would love for him to come back to college and be a head coach. Of course, he was at Texas Tech for a little bit, but bring back Kingsbury to be the head coach at UK. A couple of other names I've thought about. Todd Monken, the Ravens OC, be the head coach here. He previously was the OC at Georgia, and their offense was so great under him. And then the other OC I was thinking about was the Browns offensive coordinator with Tommy Rees as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of good names. I honestly had not thought of Kingsbury. That hadn't crossed my mind at all. That'd be a fun one. He's in Washington right now with the
Yes,
Commanders, right?
yes,
Okay.
he's the
Yeah,
OC.
that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I mean that'd be a fun little list right there. I think yeah, Todd Monk and that Georgia offense was clicking with him. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely a lot of good options out there. But it feels like yeah, if it gets past Stein, which I mean maybe those two go to bigger jobs and you can't really blame them there. But those feel like the two. It's like Summerall or Stein. Those are the
Yeah,
ones that
one
we'll
A,
go
one
after.
B.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and of course, Matt Jones also said earlier in the week that he believes that it's an 85 to 90% chance that Mark Stoops is either fired during the year or right after the season ends. And like I said, that's pretty high. Like he basically said before, like all these SEC losses, he gave like maybe a 30% chance that Stoops would be fired and everything. But now it's up to 85, 90%, which is shocking.
Yeah, that I mean that is shocking and that's almost certain. So it feels like without a doubt we'll be having a new coach, barring something crazy happening.
Yeah. Hey, went out, don't get a new head coach.
Yeah, went out. Stoops is back.
Yeah, Stoops is back. That would be crazy. And I won't mention this player's dad, but basically, I have a fan page account, and he has been getting on to me about it and everything. I won't mention the player's dad, but he's definitely been a little annoying to me.
Okay, I
Yeah,
might need to hear the player off of
off
the
off the record. Yeah.
yeah off the podcast.
Off the podcast, I would definitely let you know. But yeah, like I said, like people really think that we can't do better than Mark Stoops. I mean, I thought that with John Calipari, I'm like, we won't do any better if we, fire John Calipari or if he leaves. And Mark Pope proved me wrong after year one. And I'm in the complete opposite side of the boat where I think UK can do a lot better if we got rid of Stoops and we actually had somebody else as the new head coach.
Yeah, Stoops was definitely the perfect hire at the perfect time. Like he was the right answer at the time, but it's kind of overstayed your visit, and it's just kind of that situation where it's time. Where I think, I mean, I'll always love him. I know that part of the fan base is kind of got spoiled to where they're gonna be angry and hold a grudge, but I think he's always gonna be a legend to me. Like I hope one day, if this is, his last season, I hope it ends as well as possible, and I hope one day he comes back and he's just a legend, and we can all support him when he comes back.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, he's had a bad few years, but at the end of the day, like he took UK to new heights that we've never seen before. Two 10-win seasons, of course. One season sadly got vacated, but still taking UK to do that, like you've never seen that before. And I'm just happy about what Mark Stoops did for the program. Of course, I'm not happy what he's currently doing for the program, but like what he did from let's say 2016 through 2021 was just insane.
Yeah, he had quite the run. It was unbelievable what he did for years and years, and he brought in, I mean, elite recruits. He developed recruits. He did all of it, and yeah, we can only thank him because he gave us some of the best memories ever. Like we still talk about just things that happened all the
Yeah,
time. Like we're like, oh, it was this many years ago that this happened. Like
yeah,
it's crazy. He
completely.
broke the streak for Florida.
Florida.
We'll always have that. So
Yeah,
he gave us tons of great memories.
yeah, 31 years. Like it took UK 31 years to finally defeat Florida, and it was so great to finally see that actually happen.
Yeah, he made it almost like a regular thing that we beat Florida. Like
Yeah.
we didn't come from this long streak. Yeah, what he did was amazing at this school.
Yeah, same with South Carolina. Of course, it's not the end yet for Mark Stoops, and like maybe something dramatically changes like this season. They went out. I don't think that'll happen, but like maybe something crazy happens and UK does that. But like I said, I wish Mark Stoops the best, and like whatever he does next, I wish him the best, and hopefully he continues to do well.
Yeah, hopefully so. And like we talked about, like this is like if this is the end, this is like his baby. Like I don't know if he would go anywhere else and coach. So this is his one head coaching job that he had. Obviously, he
Mhm.
went to Iowa, so he's always gonna have ties there. But like this was his
Yeah,
place. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm hoping that he could always come back and feel at home here.
yeah. But enough talking about football. We're going to cover Kentucky basketball real quick, and then we're going to wrap up the podcast. But they had UK Media Fan Day today, and it was so great. Like basically all the media members, they were able to invite whoever they wanted. Of course, it was supposed to be their children, but for my instance, I was able to invite my mom, so I invited my mom because my dad couldn't make it. He had work and everything, but basically, Mark Pope said at the very beginning of the press conference that he was like, I don't really want any media member to ask me any questions. I want a family member of theirs to, ask some questions. And that was great to see as well.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Just that event looked amazing. Like
Yeah.
hopefully I can make it next year if they do that again. But like that looked perfect. Like you said, he was talking to so many like media members' families, and
Mhm.
the one that I saw was that Matt Jones had posted, and I mean he's just awesome. Like Pope just gets it.
Yeah.
He handles all of those interactions funny. Like it was that when he met Josiah, Ryan's son, it was
Right.
like, oh, you got to put up with this all the time. Like he's just the best. So it was so cool to see him interact with all the families.
Yes, and it was actually my first time ever interacting with Mark Pope face to face. Of course, I've asked him questions during press conferences and everything, and whenever we had that introductory press conference, he actually finally had to leave. Like basically the SID was like, "Hey, you've got to go somewhere." So he left eventually, but I came really close to introducing myself during the introductory press conference. Of course, I asked him a question, but face to face. So that was actually my first time ever interacting with him face to face, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've only had one interaction ever with him, and it was actually not even at like anything UK really. I mean, he was out on a recruiting thing. I'm an assistant coach for a high school team, and we were at an event that he came to recruit some of the players. And I remember meeting him for the first time. It was like he was almost as excited to meet me as I was to meet him. It was like he just is overflowing with joy, and it's just awesome to see. Like he's literally just the most happy, outgoing guy, and he just kills it with all these interactions. He's awesome.
Yeah, and it was great for my mom. My mom didn't ask any questions, but she got a chance to take some pictures with the players, Mark Pope as well. She got to talk to him as well, and then she talked to other media members like Matt Jones, Ryan Lemon, Drew Franklin. We took pictures with them. It was a surreal moment. We had a lot of fun for sure. Two things that really stood out to me though was uh, Jalen Lowe. He was actually playing. He only did non-contact though because of his shoulder. Of course, I don't expect him to play against Georgetown on Thursday. I expect him to probably be ready for the first game of the year, but I noticed that. But the other thing I also noticed was Denzel Aberdeen looked like he did not practice at all. So I don't know if he's injured or what, but I did not see him. I saw him at practice, but I never actually saw him practicing doing drills or anything.
Hmm. That is interesting. I wonder if something happened because I mean he definitely left the Purdue game perfectly fine. Like
Yeah.
nothing happened in that. So I don't know. Maybe something is up. Hopefully not though, because we need at least. I mean, we don't need Jalen Lowe to play because this game technically still doesn't matter. Need to keep him out, but it'd be nice to have like one of the guards at least. Maybe you have to end up if Denzel is out. Maybe they end up going like Jasper, Collins, somebody else to kind of run the show and keep Denzel healthy.
Yeah, I'm not trying to speculate or anything, but like I said, he was fully suited to practice. Aberdeen was like he was in his practice clothes, like he was wearing, I believe, a white jersey, I believe. Like it looked like he was ready for practice, but he was basically on the bench the whole time. And I'm like, what's going on with him? And of course, I didn't ask Pope, after practice and to be like, what's going on with Aberdeen now?
Yeah. I'm curious what's going on, but maybe we'll hear
Yeah.
something else about it tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe like something will come out, or maybe he'll play tomorrow. But like I said, I was just very happy that Lowe was actually practicing though and doing non-contact drills.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see because I mean, obviously the injuries always seem to linger, but it's good to see that he's back to practicing and back to all the
Yeah.
stuff.
And then at one point during the practice, though, Ortega away, he just had an insane dunk. I didn't film it, but dude, it was insane. It was a rim rocker, had the whole crowd cheering and everything.
Oh man, yeah, I mean that would be so cool to see. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I could have made. How many people were there? You think?
Oh, there were probably 100 plus at least because, like I said, it was crowded because of family members coming. Like, of course, you've got probably like I would say 25 maybe UK media members that go to games or whatever. Of course, then you have the opposing media people coming in covering their team and everything. But I would like to say probably 25 UK media members are there a game or maybe more. Like I could be wrong about that, and I'm going too low, but I would not be surprised if it wasn't at least 100 people there today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, hopefully I can get out there at some point if they do it again. But it definitely looked awesome. I was glad y'all got to do that, and it looked like a great time.
Yeah, a couple other things that I went to cover during that. Mark Pope, he was raving about Malachi Marino during the whole practice. He was doing everything right, and Pope was giving him credits and everything. And like he singled out Marino a lot during the practice, saying like he was doing everything right, the little small things. I'm like, he's only a freshman, the backup center for, of course, right now, Brandon Garrison. And who knows, maybe Marino moves into that starting spot before Jaden Quaintance comes back from his injury.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, he played amazing in the Purdue game, and I expect him to have a big time night tomorrow night in that exhibition. So he, it's like we talked about. He's filled out. He's stronger. and he just fits right in. It's not like he's seen any early freshman season diaper dandy moments where it's just like, all right, well, he's not fitting in, but he just blends right in. He came in, did everything he was supposed to in the Purdue game. So I am excited to see what he can do and how quick he can grow. Because, like you said, he mentioned Malachi at that, but I've heard him talk so highly about him at many different occasions. So I'm excited to see kind of where Malachi's ceiling ends up getting.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, like the ceiling gets the roof for Marino, as Michael Jordan would say.
Yeah, classic saying right there.
Classic saying by Michael Jordan for sure. But like I said, it's going to be interesting. I also want to talk about how Mark Pope, they had a competitive team practice on Monday where the losing team had to do the laundry for the team instead of the managers. And he said it was one of the best competitions of this year's preseason, and the white team had to do the laundry. And I believe like the managers bailed them out. So I believe today it was double or nothing, basically like whoever lost had to do laundry twice.
That is a pretty sweet way to incentivize playing hard, but that is awesome. I didn't even know about that. That's I mean that's a great way to get competition out there.
Yeah, it definitely is. But like I said, I'm really excited. There was at one point though, Pope did say in his press conference like he believes that this is the deepest team he's ever had, and that's great to hear as well because you could easily go 10 deep, like have a platoon system.
Yeah, I mean you could even argue deeper than that. It's unbelievable what this team has, and I would say like at first I was like, I mean that's obviously it's a great thing that he said that because he's got so much to work with, but
Mhm.
um, in overview it's kind of like you deal with these things like last year where we had the injuries pop up and they kind of linger around like you don't have to worry about that or like if somebody's having an off night you have other options that like you can always go to so it's going to be a blast and I know it's
Yeah.
going to be fun for Pope and his coaching staff because they can never really fully count themselves out of things like I mean not that we counted ourselves out but like we had some big time injury
Mhm.
issues last year where we'd struggle to even field a solid starting five but
Mhm.
that is an exciting thing to hear Pope say.
Yeah, you're right about that. And then, of course, I want to also talk about the crowd noise. Basically, they added crowd noise into the scrimmage, and basically, the longer the practice was, the louder it got. So basically, like the game was close. Have a scenario where the game is close and the crowd is just cheering so loud, and it got so loud towards the end of the scrimmage. I'm like, can they just turn this off, please? It got so loud and everything, and I also like since I was so close to the court. It amazes me that players are able to hear their head coach talk about what play they want to run or anything because I could barely hear Mark Pope speak with that crowd noise. And I'm like, the crowd gets so much louder at Rupp Arena. I'm like, how do coaches do this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is crazy, but like you said, it was very loud for you. You got to imagine being in an opposing player's shoes when they're trying to shoot a free throw or something late in the game. Like it'd be wild, but it is impressive that all these guys are able to communicate through all of the chaos that ref brings.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the assistant coaches as well. Mikael McLean and I believe it was Alvin Brooks the third. It might have been it was either Alvin Brooks the third or Jason Hart, but basically they were the opposing team head coach and they were always talking, communicating to the players and everything, and it was just insane how loud they were getting it also as well on the bench, trying to communicate to their team.
But you mean just like yelling how
Yeah,
loud they
just
got?
yelling, like you could tell they were really into practice. Of course, they're probably always really into practice, but like I said, just they really care about this year's team and everything.
Yeah, that is cool to see though. I mean, I'm sure those practices get intense and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm sure those coaches are loving the intensity and having, I mean, two elite squads to go up against each other in those practices.
Yeah, and then Mark Pope, he got really adamant during the practice. Like, of course, he was, yelling, like, just calling plays and everything, like, normally, but he got really mad at one point during the practice. Basically, I believe he thought some of the players were slacking at one point and just he yelled really loud. Of course, nothing bad, but, like, he was like, stop it right now. Like, and he basically was talking to these five players, and he felt like they were lollygagging, I believe, a little bit. But he was basically saying that he thought this defensive team to be the best in the nation, and the five players were Colin Chandler, Otegoway, Trent Noah, Mo Diabate, and Brendan Garrison. And like I say, he got really upset with those five players at one point during the practice.
That is pretty cool. You got to see the that side of Pope where it's not all just sunshine and rainbows, and he gets on the guys a little bit. So that's
Mhm.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, like I said though, I'm surprised though that he said those five players could be the best defensive team in the nation though. Like, of course, Trent Noah, like he's okay with the defensive side, but not the greatest. And I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean that is quite the five to say it could be the best defensive five, but I mean really this whole team is just elite on defense. It feels like.
Mhm. Yeah, but like I said, we don't really have anything else. I want to talk about Lamont Butler real quick. Of course, he tore his ACL and meniscus, so he's out for the year. He was on the G League team for the Atlanta Hawks, so I wish him the best in recovery. Like, it sucks that he's out for the whole year with his injury.
Yeah, Mont can't catch a break. It stinks. It feels like he just continues to turn around and get injured all the time. So
Yeah.
definitely prayers for him with a speedy recovery and get him back on the floor.
Yeah, definitely prayers. Like I said, if it's not his shoulder, it's now his knee, sadly.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. He's been going through it.
Yeah, he's definitely been going through a lot, but like I said, we've covered a lot during this podcast, and the only other thing I have to add is Christian Collins. He's expected to announce his commitment this week, maybe potentially before I get this podcast uploaded, but I don't expect him to go to Kentucky though, sadly.
Yeah, don't expect him to do that, but
Mhm.
um, it feels like at some point we need to land somebody soon, and maybe it's Stokes or something. But
Mhm.
um, I know there's a lot of guys that have been holding off, waiting on Stokes' decision to see if he does go to UK, and that'll kind of help them make their decision. But I don't know. We're in a weird spot right now. We're getting close to the college or to the high school basketball season where
Mhm.
Stokes said he wanted to commit before the season, and I don't know. Like you said, Collins commits very soon.
Mhm.
We've already seen a few guys commit, so would love to land one here
Yeah.
soon for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we had most of our commitments around this time because, of course, we had Malachi Marino as our first commitment, then Jasper Johnson, and then I say Caden Lewis committed around this point as well. Of course, he later decommitted, and then of course we got Braden Hawthorne as our last commitment. But like I said, I feel like we had most of our recruits around this time last year.
Yeah, it feels like we definitely did, and so that's why I'm not worried at all. But it's just kind of like, man, when is the first domino going to fall? Because like you said earlier, the biggest domino of all is Stokes because that kind of influences some other decisions around him.
It definitely does. But do you have anything else you want to have for this podcast?
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
Yeah, we've covered a lot during this podcast. We talked majority about football, a little bit about basketball, but we hope you all enjoyed. And this was longer than an hour. It was more like probably an hour and 15, which is insane to think about.
Yeah, would you say this was episode 26?
I believe episode 26. So yes, over a quarter.
Yeah. Hey, episode Benny Snow.
Episode Benny Snell for sure. But of course, we appreciate you all watching on YouTube and then listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. One last thing, I'm actually excited. I'm going to see my favorite artist this weekend, Knox. This is one of his hats. It's called Monumental Mess because he has a song and a lyric with that on it. It's called NYC. If you all want to know about the song.
Heck yeah, yeah. Shout out to Knox.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally see him perform for the first time. My favorite artist.
Where are you seeing him at?
I'm seeing him actually in two different places. I'm seeing him on Sunday in Cincy and then Lexington on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Yep. So exciting times. I'll definitely be talking about that next week on the podcast, so
Oh yeah, got to. That'll be fun.
for sure. But thank you all again for watching on YouTube and listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But this is Chris Beesmore and
And Cameron Waddle.
signing out. Peace. Have a great week, everybody, and go Cats.
Go Cats.